Well, hello. Today's topic that I'm going to be speaking about is future life progression, something that I love to do all the time, something that I have experienced um, from some profound shifts in my life as a result of it. So I love to hold space for others to experience the same thing, as well as teaching it to other fellow hypnotherapists. So this is going to be our topic today. So, how many of you ladies practice future life progression? Susie, you're going to learn a lot of good stuff today. And then, if you ever want me to facilitate one for you, I'd be happy to do it. It'd be fun. See, just because I'm nosy, and that's one reason to do future progression is to just if you're just nosy in your life and you want to find out what's going to happen. Now, as a psychic medium, people come to me for that all the time. So now I have a technique in hypnosis for people to really experience it on their own instead of having me explain it to them, right? They get the firsthand benefit of the experience of seeing what's coming. And it really
Hmm.
does afford a bird's eye view in to the experience of what is available to people in their highest and best version of their life. Isn't that cool? Isn't that cool? Now, again, sometimes depending upon where you are in your journey of life, we come here to have experiences to sort things out. So they don't necessarily, they meaning spirit or your higher self, will not always necessarily hit the easy button and tell you the exact thing that you are wanting to know as far as what's going to be in your future. But they will tell you absolutely or facilitate the experience so that you will have a good clue into what possibilities are available to you. So let's talk about some possible reasons someone can come to you or want to have a future life progression. Well, we just mentioned the first one. If you're nosy as hell in your life, right? And you just want to know. I'm one of those. I've learned to not be, but I'm definitely one of those. But here's the thing. I'm a spiritual girl and know that if you can see it, you can be it, which is a reason why these sessions are so helpful. Because I remember personally when I had one of my first future life progressions, this was before me writing a book was even on my radar, and I was shown that I was going to write a book. And it was so not on my radar. It was so weird. Like, I'm going to write a book, but then they showed me public speaking as well and actually showed the room expand out. And it gave me the feeling of the book would have a far greater impact than I could ever imagine. So it's really interesting how things are shown to you in these sessions as well, and how you just have a certain knowing that you take with you beyond the experience, which is helpful and stays with you forever. It really makes an imprint. So goes to the if you can see it, you can be it, especially when it stays with you and to the degree that it becomes a knowing that that is what's going to happen in your future. Really is pretty interesting. And then what happens as a result of that? All your actions or reactions and emotions begin to become in the flow and aligned with that happening, right? So that is one. Also, I will say that too, you can also, as a hypnotherapist, dovetail this and use this process along with some of your other techniques. All of us, this whole association is about integrative processes, correct? Well, as a past life regressionist, because if we take people back, we can take them forward. You can begin with past life regression. You can even integrate it with and add on to it life between life, what happens after the death experience, and what happens when you cross over and go through that experience. Then you can even, dare I say, bring in the higher self and give some perspective as to why you were shown all you were shown and what that has to do with your life now. Helpful, right? And then have the higher self take the client forward into their future in this lifetime. The complete A to Z, nut to bolts process you can do in one session. How cool is that? So you can do that. You can also add it in with parts work. Has anybody ever thought about that? Integrating it in or adding it to parts work? Now, in my experience, especially when we have resistant clients, you can bring in the higher self for some help, right? We often bring in help if the client really needs it. Well, I know that I have brought in the higher self, and then you can just add to that, let's take them forward. You're giving them good advice and different perspective. Let's show them what's available to them if they take that on. So that's pretty cool and different, right? Same thing with the inner child. Hmm. What do we think about adding that with inner child work? Right? Now, something that I have done is I integrate NLP with inner child work. And instead of doing traditional hypnosis, I will take them through the museum and have the client collect resources in the museum to take to the inner child. And then take them down to the elevator of the museum where their inner child's waiting for them. And they're going to offer the resources to that inner child. And then the inner child's going to get that information as to how these resources are going to help him or her. They grow all the way up. Or even before you integrate them, I will say, you can show them their future. And then once they feel complete and aligned with peace, love, or joy, then they can integrate with the client and become one whole and healed. How does that sound? Pretty cool, right? So really, you can use this. There's no right or wrong. There's just get creative and try things. That's how we progress the profession, right? Just get creative and see what you can come up with. See how you're guided, see how you're nudged. But it really is an interesting and fun process. But I encourage everybody to have their own experience so you come from a place of knowing before you facilitate it on anyone else. That should just be, what you should be doing anyway. You cannot really know what you're doing until you have yourself experienced it, right?
Yes.
What was some of those of you who have experienced it, what did you experience? And how, if any, did it change you, your perspective, or what happened in the future? Melissa, what about you?
Yeah, I've gone through this with you. So I'm not going to give details about it. But there was definitely something that I witnessed that came true from some people, that were publicly recognizable figures
Oh,
that
that's
I
right.
that I had in my future progression.
That's right. I
And
remember that.
so, yeah, then it actually happened. And so validated the whole experience for me. And then I was like, oh, I knew that was going to happen. So,
Hmm.
um,
I remember the one that you had about the New York experience. Do you remember that?
no, I don't remember that.
Oh,
We've done a lot.
there's sometimes, well, is there anything else that you want to say about that? I don't want to cut you off.
No, that's the one I remember most. I know we've just done this
Hmm.
many times.
Hmm. Well, the one thing that comes up is I remember about your situation. I won't say, but it was almost like a forewarning of something that tragic could happen.
Oh
You
yeah.
don't remember, right?
I do
Now
remember that one. Yeah, I
I
do.
remember all your stuff. So, speaking
Yeah.
of which, I won't go into what yours is in particular, but certainly this is something that comes up fairly commonly that there will be a foreshadowing of something that can be from the human lens, something that is unfortunate future occurrence.
Hmm.
But what's really happening is that they're being prepared, which is nice.
Hmm.
I know from my intuitive work that I do, I have given foreshadowings to people of things that are going to happen and they come back and it happens. But inevitably they say, man, I'm glad that I was given a heads up about it. So the same thing applies in these kinds of situations. So people should not be afraid of being shown whatever it is because what this is happening in your subconscious mind and what is self-protective. It will never show anything that you can't handle. And it's always for your highest good. So
Mhm.
there's never any reason to fear it. Be grateful because you're just getting the heads up, about it. So, yeah, yeah. What about you, Catherine?
It's been a while since I've done that. I can't come up with any specific experience that I had. I've taken clients through it and I remember some of their experiences. One
Mm-hmm.
lady went to a future life where she was born on a spaceship and that was it. She lived her whole life on a spaceship. That that was just reality. She was
Okay.
fascinated. She loved that.
Okay. And who knows, you can't discount what somebody's experience is. It's just is meant
Yep.
for them. And it's just because it's not our path doesn't mean it's not so, right? Just open to all possibilities. I will say this too, because I do a fair amount of coaching, business coaching as well as spiritual law coaching. And I have used this process for that as well. Some people just, I'm a proponent of aligning your business as an entrepreneur with your life purpose. So some people don't really have clarity about what that is. We can use this process to show the highest and best path career wise for people. Isn't that cool? I mean, that's really kind of fun because it really opens up people to possibilities. And you can use it for that process for any aspect of life. It could be relationships, it could be family dynamics, it can be whatever, because inevitably it's going to bring in a higher and different perspective. And sometimes when people are riddled with a problem, a challenge, that they can't see past, you can use this to show them what life is like on the other side of it so that it helps to allay a lot of their stress, angst, worry, and depression even about it. So that's a possibility too. So to get clear on your life purpose, if you are on a spiritual path, you can use it for that. Now, this is something that I've been using it for recently that I am so excited about. Now, I teach spiritual law, and this is an unlearning of how we've been conditioned to live life. And it's all about self empowerment and learning how to choose joy and not suffer, which most of us do by not really being mindful of what our thoughts are because thoughts become things, right? So, in this process that we're using for manifestation, whoo, this is so good. And if anybody has not really looked into or spent much time listening to Neville Goddard, he is phenomenal. And there's a recording that I came across with him that really, and this is not synchronistic, this is just alignment, that showed up right at the time where in my development spiritually and in teaching that was right on the money. But there is a process to manifestation that is different than just the passe, say your affirmations. They don't work. Why don't affirmations work? Do you know? As a means of manifesting that of what you're wanting. What just take a few stabs at it as why you think affirmations may not work.
You have to believe them.
Exactly. Hence the unlearning of who we are and what our power is, right? So it's an awareness thing that we need to work on and come into a better understanding of about spiritual law and the truth about who we are, not from our human lens, but a higher lens, right? But affirmations are rarely infused with emotions as well as belief. And emotions are our energetic currency. Ooh, that wasn't me that just said that. I don't use that term. That was just spirit, y'all. Welcome to my crazy. So, that is our energetic currency. So, when we are manifesting, there is a process that he has suggested that I have been using. And I'm still in the throes of it, but I've been manifesting all kinds of stuff. So, this isn't going to be any different. Before we fall off to sleep at night, he encourages us to take time to really visualize because our visualizations are our creative God sense at play, at work. And why is it important to do before you're going off to sleep at night? hypnotherapist.
Because your subconscious has nothing else to do all night long except work on what you've just shown it.
Ding, 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 ding. You're standing at the gateway of your subconscious to work on your behalf all freaking night long on what you just visualized with
Yep.
your God energy. Oh, and you say this 7-word phrase. Thank you, God. It is already, it is, wait, thank you, God. It is already done. That's the belief part, right, Melissa? So I'm going to, as a little gift to all of you, charge you with this little exercise for the next 60 to 90 days to do this before you fall off to sleep at night. And you can use it for anything. But really visualize, take the time to visualize it and feel the emotion of receiving it, knowing that we are law, we are energy, and that as you do this, and if you infuse the energy of emotion and belief, your reality has to bend to your desires. This life is not as fixed as we think it is. It is a pliable illusion. And as you are doing this as a practice, you are jumping timelines, which we do all the time, but not with deliberate focus of what it is that our desires are. It's usually from a place of lack. So we jump timelines all the time. We do it in hypnosis. I know I do interdimensional work. Melissa showed me that. And so we literally do this in our life. Everything looks the same, but when we learn something new, we automatically shift into a different timeline. It looks all the same, but we are now in that different timeline that reflects that new learning. So as we are doing this, this is what we are doing, yet deliberately focused upon what our desire is and its law. The universe will support you and align circumstances, synchronicities to align to your desires to materialize. Now, most of us kind of have swung the pendulum, live our life from a place of lack just by default, from the unlearned, from the not knowing, well, from the living a lack mentality, right? And so as we begin this practice, we begin to go into a neutral state, and then we begin to, over the practice of it, build a momentum on the side of your desire. So that's the buffer of what we perceive as time. It's usually just a change of energy and momentum. Does that make sense? It's not really time. It's just our perception of slowing down the energy of where it was to neutralize it and then go in the direction that we want. But time collapses with belief and the infused emotion and focus of where we're going and what we want and belief that we can have it. And at the end of the day, if we desire it, we wouldn't desire it if it wasn't available to us. That's why it's there. So you can use this process for that. It's so fun and exciting. What do you guys think about that? Pretty cool, right? So you can use it also as just a standalone practice technique in your practice as well. You know, you can just say, hey, want to try something new just for fun? And I guarantee you, your client will have an amazing experience. And it's very forgiving. And when you bring in the higher self, well, the higher self generally will direct it to where the client knows, where the higher self knows where they are in their spiritual journey and show them something based upon where they are, where they're going. Let me see if I can share a story about what's happened in another one, unless somebody else has one. Catherine, did you say one? Did you
Well,
give?
I just, that one about the lady on the spaceship.
Yeah, but what about yours? You don't remember? Okay. Okay. So we talked about the spiritual aspect, we talked about the relationships aspect. That's another one too. You know, Catherine, I know in a previous video that we did, episode for our podcast, you talked about tapping and how you had a personal experience with tapping to help with heartbreak. Sometimes when we are in relationships, especially our love relationships, they're hard to get over. They just can be a tough thing to resolve on an emotional level. So some people subscribe to you get over somebody else by getting under someone else. I don't subscribe to that. Melissa's like, oh my God, I can't believe she said that. But you can use this absolutely as a way of seeing a person, helping them to see beyond. I don't know about you guys, but I get a lot of people in my practice that's struggling with heartbreak. And it's a tough, 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 tough thing. You can also use it for weight loss. And typically, I will encourage a practitioner to go to at least 3 or 4 different forward events because it allows them to root in to the experience and really have a full-on experience of seeing themselves beyond their current situation. And going back to the whole manifestation thing, the one that I just suggested that you all do, you can also use future progression to help to amplify your visualizations for that to that very end. Is really, really helpful too. And so then, because some people have a hard time visualizing it and going into the belief state, right? So this is a good way of helping to bridge that that process of helping your client or you to root into the fact that you really can achieve what it is that you're desiring. Because so much of life has been tough and we're not meant to, and we know kind of at a conscious level that we're not defined by what's happened in our life, but sometimes it's hard to see beyond what has happened in our life as far as possibility. So when you use this type of powerful technique in order to really experience it, it becomes far easier to visualize. And if you can visualize it more and you can align with the emotion of it more, you will just bring it into materialization in your life quicker. Yeah. So let's open it up. Anybody have any questions about the process? Because I know, Susie, you haven't done it yet. Do you have any questions at all about the process and how to do it from a technical
Um,
standpoint?
Technically, oh, well, I'm going to learn more about it. Um, the challenge that you gave us for the next 60 to 90 days,
Mhm.
so my presumption is it's not the same thing for 60 to 90 days because
Oh, it
surely,
is. You pick one thing that you want to manifest,
what if I manifest it in 30 as opposed to 60? Pick a new one.
then that's good. That means you didn't have a whole lot of resistance going in the other direction. That's all that means.
Okay.
But hear me when I say it's law. It's just a matter of when. It's not if.
Right.
It's
Right.
when. So if it's certainly it can happen in a day. It can happen in 24 hours. It just depends upon how much momentum that you have about it and which way that momentum is swinging.
Okay, can I piggyback onto this in
Mm-hmm.
terms of the visualization? So
Sure.
I have, when you say visualization,
Mm-hmm.
excuse me, is that a broad stroke term that you're using for experiencing it? Because there, I can tell you, I've got a girlfriend who, if I direct her, just to close her eyes. I don't even have to guide her into the trance state. Just close your eyes, and she's still with me. And imagine, visualize a polka dotted palm tree with rainbow striped fronds, and she goes, "Okay, got it." Like it's as if she has a theater screen behind her
Mm-hmm.
eyelids, right?
Mm-hmm.
That is not one of my areas of genius, visualization, right? Primarily auditory and kinesthetic and
Mm-hmm.
cognitive. I have knowings of things. So
Mm-hmm.
does that diminish this if I'm or I'm going to go back to my question.
Not at
When
all. You
when
know,
you
as a
say
hypnotherapist,
visualize,
imagine, sense, and feel. Everybody
right?
processes differently.
Yeah,
So you just do it and allow it to be okay, just the way you do it. But what is absolutely necessary is the
is the
emotions, the
emotion.
feeling.
Yeah, yeah.
Experience it in the way that you uniquely experience it, as feeling it
Already
as if it
happened.
is already done.
Yep.
And then let me just add on to that too. During your day, after your subconscious has done the heavy lifting for you, during your day, you have planted the seeds in your garden of your desires. Your daily activity is to believe and trust and keep your garden free of weeds, of doubt, fear, worry, and anxiety about it. It's done, it's done, it's done.
It's done. Mhm.
Yeah. But does that help?
Yes, 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 yes. And I asked that question on behalf of those who might
Everybody
be
else,
new to
yeah.
our association. Exactly.
Sure. But absolutely, not everybody processes the same way. You know, everybody does it in their own way, but whatever works for you is enough. But just do it every night. Those 7 words, put yourself in that situation, trust and believe, and that is done. And it has no choice but to materialize into your life.
It's going to be fun.
Mm-hmm. So much fun. So maybe at some point in time, we'll do a follow-up to this because I'm in the process of doing
Yeah.
it. I'm about 4 weeks in, maybe 5. And so maybe we can revisit this and talk about our stories of how we've been powerful creators and how each one of our experiences, how it showed up for each one of us. That might be an interesting follow-up.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So I really hope that this helps you and everybody else that comes across this video. So thank you, ladies. Always
Thank
great to be with
you.
you. Until the next
Thanks,
time.
Keli.
Thank
Ta-ta.
you.